Our guest today is a true guitar god and one of the most respected players on today's blues jazz scene, the one and only Larry Carlton. A guitar prodigy, Larry burst onto the LA music scene and was a busy session musician in the 70s and 80s, making up to 500 recordings a year, including albums by Steely Dan, Joni Mitchell, Billy Joel, Michael Jackson, and many, many others. Rolling Stone magazine lists one of his recordings with Steely Dan as containing one of the top guitar solos on record. That's Kid Charlemagne. Currently, Larry continues to record and tour extensively. He's won 3 Grammy Awards. He remains one of the world's most sought-after performers, session players, composers, and arrangers. I am delighted to welcome Larry Carlton to the show.
Yeah, I think anyone's style, whether it's a singer, guitar player, saxophone, any of that, just happens by staying true to what you like. I love the Beatles when they came out. The Beatles had a subtle, if not, influence on my playing. I liked those jazz guitarists that you mentioned earlier. That input, all of a sudden I'm partly Barney Kessel, the best I can be for a minute at 14 years old, but I'm also partly George Harrison for a minute. All of those elements that we truly like, we absorb and we emulate, and for me it was just a melting pot of all the things that I liked. And I listened to steel guitar players when I was a young guy. So when I started recording with the volume pedal, that sound was very familiar to me.
Wow.
A lot of guys didn't listen to steel guitar players, so they would not have incorporated the volume pedal.
Wow.
So I think you understand it's all the input, and then we play what we like and we become who we are.
Wow. So cats like Wes Montgomery and B.B. King, I mean, talk a little bit about those two guys, because they're very different, obviously, the jazz and blues end of the spectrum. How did they really touch you and move you as an artist?
Yeah, when I started listening to Wes, this was before I got interested in B.B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm still 14, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And very excited about jazz. I'm getting this bug about all these chord changes and these licks and the speed and all the stuff that goes with it. And yeah, to hear Wes, his sound, playing those octaves, he made that statement. It became Wes Montgomery's statement. Right. Any of us that ever play octaves, it's a hats off to Wes. But I think the true gift that I appreciated on top of just the sound was the way Wes could swing. Yeah. His feel. Yeah. And also years later I saw videos of Wes. Always had a huge smile on his face. Looked like he was the happiest guy in the world playing his guitar.
Polka dots and
yes.
That whole era, right?
Yes.
Gosh.
So I love the swing of Wes, and he had a unique style. And then when I was about 16 years old, for some reason, my grandmother had one B.B. King album, and she gave it
grandmother.
to me. My grandmother
wow.
did. Mm-hmm. At her house. And she gave it to me and said, "Here, I thought you might want to listen to this." And I remember putting that on, and I forget what song it was, but it was a shuffle. And when that band was playing, and it took off, and B.B. went, "Oh, come on." I was hooked.
Right.
So all of a sudden, I'm a Wes Montgomery, Joe Pass, John Coltrane guy who's going, what is this feel?
What is this thing?
So again, all those elements that tickled my heart became part of who I am.
Wow. Now, did Albert King come
later.
into the picture? Later?
Yes, later. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't get into him earlier.
Wow, that cat.
Very special. And Albert Collins.
Oh, same thing.
When I first heard Albert Collins, I didn't know that he tuned his guitar different than everybody else. So I'm trying to figure out trying to make it sound like him, and he's capoed, tuned to.
Right.
So anyway, but all those little sounds, we're hungry for them if we like them.
Man.